Praise the Lord and give all the glory to God, because we always put Him first in everything we do. Welcome to Hickory Sticks Woodworks Northwest. My name is Rich. Today we got a good show for you. We're going to do a little build, and we're going to talk about some of the mistakes that beginner woodworkers are going to run into that they should know about as they're getting into woodworking. So if you're ready for that, let's go. Let's get into it. Right, so the first big mistake that most beginner woodworkers make is they go out and they spend a bunch of money that they don't have on a bunch of tools that they don't need. When you're getting started into woodworking, just buy the tool that you need to do the job that you got to do. And you don't have to go buy a brand new tool. You can go to garage sale, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and you can find good used tools at a fraction of the cost of a new tool. And you don't have to go out and buy every tool known to man that has anything to do with woodworking. Just buy the tool that you need. You don't have to outfit a whole shop on day one and go into debt up to your eye teeth to do one job that you're going to make $10 off of. You don't have to have a big shop to do woodworking. You can, go out on your back porch. Storage shed. You don't have to go run a big shop. You start with where you're at and build as you go, and buy the tools you need when you need them. Don't buy a bunch of tools just because you think they're cool. And alright, so the next issue that a lot of guys will start out is not knowing how to build what it is they want to build. So they go out and kind of just throw something together and it looks like crud, and they expect people to spend money to buy it. So do a little research on how to build what you want to build so that you can build a fairly decent product before you try to put it out on the marketplace and expect people to spend money on it. Learn how to use the tools the proper way. Learning without getting yourself hurt is a big, huge thing, because if you hurt yourself, you're going to be less inclined to go back out and do any more woodworking if you don't just give it up altogether. So learn the places where you don't put your fingers, because nobody wants to lose fingers. These tools are very dangerous. And they're very unforgiving. So that would be lesson number 2, is to figure out what you want to build and how to build it and how to do it safely without losing fingers or an eye. I've seen guys with kickbacks sending a piece of wood right through the back wall of their shop or into their belly because they were standing in the wrong place when that kickback happened. Now the next biggest mistake that most beginners make is they get impatient. You go find some material, go find a saw, whatever you need to make your project. You go out and you start building your project, and you find out if it's actually harder than what you thought it was going to be. None of your cuts are coming out clean and square. Your glue-ups aren't going well. Your joinery is not working out. So you get upset, angry, and you turn around and burn the wood that you bought and sell your tools that you bought on Craigslist where you bought them for half what you paid for them. So you got to have some patience and know that there's a learning curve when it comes to woodworking. None of this is learned overnight. It takes years of practice to get really good at it. Find one thing to build that one thing until you get really good at building that one thing, and then build something else and get good at building that. And the other thing too is it helps to have somebody that can help you and show you what you're doing wrong. So find a mentor, somebody that can help you out, kind of guide you along a little bit. Find somebody in the neighborhood that does woodworking or has a wood shop that might be willing to show you what you're doing wrong, spend a little time with them, get to know how they do things. Take a woodworking class. But what you don't want to do is, after you spend money on materials and tools, you get mad and just quit. That's when you fail, when you quit. As long as you don't give up and you keep trying, you'll get it. It just takes practice. Like anything else that you do, it's a learned skill. It's not something you're just going to get overnight. I was trying to record while I was cutting the door frame for this that we're making, and this router was just too loud to hear anything that I was saying while I was cutting this. So talking about realistic expectations of being able to sell this stuff in a decent amount of time that you're decided to make. So you decide that you're going to make curio cabinets, and you think you're going to be able to go out and make a curio cabinet in like 6 to 8 hours, and the realization is it's going to be more like 3 or 4 weeks for you to build a full curio cabinet. And to be able to get out and sell it at a marketplace, you got to be able to sell it for enough money to make a profit off of it, and cover your time and materials and make some money so that you can make a living doing this. And so you got to figure out first of all, what you want to make that you're going to be able to make money off of. Realistic expectations of the amount of time that it's going to take you to build the items that you want to build, because it always takes longer than what you think is going to take when you got all the tools set up and everything that you got to do, and all your tool setups got to be accurate. If you make mistakes in your cuts, then you're going to have to go back and correct that, and it just takes longer than what you think it's going to. So you got to be able to price it for profit. So there's that in a nutshell. Is it always takes longer than what you think it's going to. So making money on this is not as easy as a lot of people think. So the next thing you got to do is you got to know your why. Why are you getting into woodworking? You got to have a why as to why you want to do most things in life, and woodworking is no different than that. Be clear on why you want to get into something that is going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to bring you a lot of aggravation, because nothing ever works out the first time until you've been doing it for a long time. And then even then, things don't always work out the first time, because I've had a lot of failures on my first attempts at a lot of things, and I've been doing this for a long time. I make a lot of mistakes, like every other woodworker out there. So you got to understand what you're getting into and what your why is. Do you want to just make one project and be done? Do you want to do this as a hobby? Do you want to do this as a side hustle for your, just a little something to make a little extra spending money for the weekends? Or do you want to make this a career? And that has a lot to do with the type of tools that you're going to end up buying over the course of yours, or whatever you're doing this. And you want to start out with if you're doing this just for one project, and I wouldn't even bother buying tools. I'd go find a friend or somebody that relative or somebody that has some tools to work with that you can use to do your one project and be done, and it wouldn't cost you anything more than what you need for materials. If you're doing this for a hobby, then you can be real selective about what tools you're buying and where you get them at, and they can be all just stuff that you find off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. They don't have to be high-end, good quality tools. You just you find what works for you at the time that you're doing the projects that you want to do. And if you're going to do more over the long haul, then you can upgrade your tools from there as you go, and as you make some money doing this, you can buy better tools along the way, which is what I done. I started this out as just a side hustle hobby. Wanted to build cool stuff, and I've built a lot of really cool stuff. I really enjoy building cool stuff. I'm at the point now where this is an occupation. I'm doing this for money. So yeah, I upgraded some of my tools to have better quality work over the long haul of doing this for the next 10 years or so, until I decide to retire, and I've had enough of working and making stuff for a living, and then I can go back to just doing it as a hobby because I enjoy it. Know what your why is. So keep it, and there's no wrong answer here. It's just to keep it in perspective as to what your goals are. So you're not, going crazy in the candy store with all the hardware and the tools and the lumber and chasing things that are shiny and having unrealistic expectations when you go out to the shop to do something. You got to know what your limitations are, what your expectations are to realistically build whatever it is you want to go out and build. So know what your why is and enjoy that journey. This really is a journey, and everybody should be having fun with the woodworking. That's why I got into it, because I enjoyed building stuff with my hands. Because I've always worked with my hands since I was a kid. I really enjoy coming out and creating the things that I make. So the next mistake I see a lot of new guys make is they go in their shop and they build something, spend a lot of time, a lot of money, and build something in it, and then they don't understand why they can't sell it, why it looks like it was built by a beginner, basically. It's one of those, you can't expect to go out to your shop and build something the first time ever and have it look like it's professionally built. Just not going to happen. Until you get some experience, your jobs are going to look like a beginner. It's plain and simple. You're not going to be good at woodworking until you got some experience in woodworking and doing the stuff and making the cuts and spending the time with the tools. So all the professional athletes everywhere around the world, it's just a little bit tight right there, so I'm going to have to make just a hair of a cut to make that. Anyway, the professional athletes, they spend years and on top of years perfecting their skills. They don't go out there, practice one time, and think that they're going to be the best NBA basketball player in the world or the best NFL quarterback in the world. They spend years honing their skills. That's better. Perfecting the craft, the trade. These are honed skills done over years and years to get them right. And it all starts out with setting up your tools right when you get your tools. If your tools aren't set up right, then you're not going to make good, accurate, clean cuts. If you're not making good, accurate, clean cuts, nothing's going to come together like it's supposed to at the end of the day. And you always try to test fit. So that doesn't quite go in there, so I'm going to make just a little bit more on that bottom edge. Test fit everything. You just sneak up on the cuts. You don't try to cut it right to the exact first time. You got to sneak up on the cuts a little bit and make sure your cuts are plumb level and square. You make a piece and it doesn't turn out great, it looks kind of not really good, and rather than getting mad and stomping your feet and storming off and throwing a piece in the fire pile and burning it, take that piece and use it as a learning tool. Don't sell it, don't burn it, don't give it away. Put it someplace in your shop where you can see it every day. And every time you make a new piece, you compare it to that one and you look at it and say, yes, I'm getting better, I'm improving. And that's the idea behind woodworking, is getting better, a little better every time you build something different, something new, you know. Like I said before, build the same piece over and over and over until you get sick of building it, but you're improved it to the point where it's a quality piece of a product that you can be proud to put your name on. Because the last thing you want to do is put a product out there that looks terrible and nobody wants to buy it. And, you know, or nobody wants to even put it in their house and look at it because it just looks like a kid made it. So use it as a reference tool. When you look at it, say, how can I improve what I'm doing? How can I get better? How can I make this better in the long run? We consider it the entry cost, the admission cost of woodworking. You can either learn by going to school and paying somebody else to teach you how to be good at it, or you can spend the time in your shop and burn up some material and put the cost out that way with just trying to figure it out yourself. You know, the choice is yours. You can either pay somebody else or learn by yourself by the School of Hard Knocks. I was fortunate. I had a wood shop class in junior high and in high school that I got, you know, to really learn a lot of the tips and tricks and things to help you out along the way. And of course, there's YouTube as a reference. There's a lot of good woodworkers on YouTube. Get some knowledge from those guys. You know, I like to watch a little of the woodworking channels out there and get a lot of good ideas on how to do things that I didn't know before. And I've been doing this for a while, so you know, there's a lot of information that even us old guys don't know everything. I know, hard to believe, but it's true. Well, shout out to First Adam 1 for in the comment section last week. He said made the comment, don't expect your first projects to come out looking like something you'd find on a website, and it's absolutely 100% spot on. Thank you for the comment, and thank you for subscribing and all that. First Adam 1, I appreciate it, so kudos to you. And you're absolutely right. You can't expect your first project or multiple consecutive projects to come out looking like they belong on a website or in a magazine or in somebody's home until you've got some experience building stuff and take the time to learn proper techniques and everything that you need to know how to make quality products and not burn your fingers while you're torching stuff. So that'll lead us into the next thing that most beginners make the mistakes of being afraid of making mistakes. They're so afraid that they're going to do something wrong that they don't even get started in building anything. They're just scared to ruin a piece of wood or ruin a project when they're halfway through. You know, spoiler alert, I make mistakes all the time, like daily mistakes. So yeah, you gotta get past being afraid of making mistakes, because it's gonna happen. It happens to all of us. And you show me one woodworker that says he never makes a mistake ever, and I'll show you a liar. Plain and simple, because it happens all the time. Even some of the best woodworkers in the world, you know, they still make mistakes. It's just part of the game. Yep, we might ruin a little bit of wood here and there, but for the most part, you learn over time how to avoid the mistakes, and most importantly, how to recover from your mistakes. And that's the difference between a journeyman and an apprentice, is how well you can recover from making a mistake. So when you make a mistake, and just know it's going to happen, just relax, calm down. It's not worth getting mad about and get excited and do further damage than you've already done. Take just a minute, stop and think it through. What happened? What went wrong? Was it your setup? Was it the operation that you're performing, or was it the tool? And once you figure that out, then you can correct what goes on from there. You can correct the situation. So if it was you mechanically in the operation, figure out what it is, and then you can correct yourself. If it's the setup, like you read the tape measure wrong or something, then you can correct the setup on it and go again. Now if it's the tool, which sometimes it is, you never know. Sometimes you get a problem with your tool and the blade's wonky or whatever the situation might be, and that's a whole different thing altogether, because then you're going to have to fix your tool or replace it or figure out another solution for your tool problem. But there's always a reason for why you made a mistake. And you can't fix your mistake until you know what it is. So be calm, think it through, and figure out what your next move is before you go on to anything else. You can't really do anything else until you figure out what it is that you did wrong on this one. But one of the mistakes I see with the new woodworkers is they don't sand enough with the lower grits. They blow through the lower grits into the higher grits, go from your 80 grit to 240 and call it good. And then when you get to finish, you spray that lacquer on there, you see all these lines that you missed in your project. All the lines that you didn't sand out because you didn't go far enough with your 80 grit. This was my nemesis when I started out woodworking. It took me a long time to figure out that once you start sanding, and you don't stop sanding until you're tired of sanding, and once you're tired of sanding, you sand some more. And just about when you think you're done sanding, you sand a little longer. And then you move up to the next grit, your 120, 240, 320. Take your time with the sanding. I know everybody hates sanding, but you know if you don't love sanding, this ain't for you. Plain and simple. I really was not a big fan of sanding until I bought this sand, this Max T. This thing is absolutely a Max T XER73036 6-inch. The 5 inches equally as good from what I understand. Don't know, don't have. But yeah, these sanders we got on the market nowadays are absolutely incredible. I know they're expensive. I waited a long time to buy that one, and the only reason I bought it is because mine died. My DeWalt sander that I had got from the garage sale for 25 bucks, finally gave it up. So yeah, sanding it's got to be done. Plain and simple, it's got to be done. So do it right the first time, and then you don't have to strip all your lacquer off that you just sprayed on and go again. All right, so we're getting pretty close to wrapping this up, and I'll leave you with one more little piece of advice as I get this installed. So you're here in the shop and you're out there working and things are not going real well and you're getting frustrated and you're trying to glue things up, things aren't gluing up well, you're getting irritated, you're angry, but you still got more stuff to do before the end of the day. Stop, take a break, walk away, turn the tools off, go get a sandwich, cup of coffee, clear your head. Because if you don't, that's when things go bad, things happen, accidents happen when you're not thinking real clear, and that's when you get hurt or you hurt somebody else. You know, a lot of people hurting these tools, a lot of fingers lost. People hurt other people that are in the shop with them, unintentionally. You know, things happen really fast, and these tools are very unforgiving. Woodworking is one of the greatest things in the world. You get to come out and build stuff that not everybody in the world gets the opportunity to build. We're blessed in what we do. And I'd hate to see it get ruined for anybody because they made a mistake and lost fingers or worse. Alright, so I hope everybody enjoyed this week's video, this week's build, and the talk about the items, the things that we run into as woodworkers that are mistakes that we could possibly run into, and how to kind of work around them. Or I try to encourage everybody to get out and build something, work with your hands, and do something that you enjoy doing. Woodworking is a lot of fun, but it can also be frustrating at the same time because not everything always goes well. So keep that in mind when you're getting out in the shop. Be safe with what you're doing, and above all else, have fun and put God first. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.